Today is Tuesday, March 17th, and we can see the effects of the coronavirus sweeping across our world. The Center for Disease Control has recommended suspending all groups of 10 or more people. So we're not having any meetings here at the church right now. But even though we're not meeting at the church, we still are the church. That doesn't change. So how do we do that? How do we live as the church? How do we practice our religion when there's a pandemic happening in our country? The Bible doesn't use the word religion very often. It's not found anywhere in the Old Testament, and there's only 6 times that it's used in the New Testament. 3 of those are in the 2nd chapter of James. James wrote, "If anyone considers himself to be religious and does not keep a tight rein on his tongue, he deceives himself, and his religion is worthless." Religion that God our Father accepts is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. On James' day, orphans and widows were the vulnerable in society. They were the very young or the very old who couldn't physically care for themselves and needed someone to care for them. Now, interestingly, the coronavirus seems to be sparing children. As of recording this, no children under the age of 10 have died from this disease, and as of recording this, no one really seems to know why. What we do know is that this disease becomes more dangerous the older we are. About 90% of the cases are in people 30 years or older. And this disease becomes much, much more deadly once we pass the age of 80. So how do we care for someone? How do we show compassion to someone in their 70s or in their 80s when there's a pandemic happening? Well, the simplest thing we can do is check on them. If there's someone in your family or someone you know in their 70s or in their 80s, check in on them. Make sure they have enough food to get through the next couple weeks. Make sure they have any medications they need for at least the next month. Don't do this in person. Call, Skype, FaceTime. Contact them electronically so you don't risk accidentally spreading this disease. But check in on them. And then keep checking in on them, especially if this is someone who lives alone. They're not going to be able to get out and have the social interaction they're used to, and we need that. We need other people. So this can be a very lonely time for them. So make a conscious effort to check in on them. Contact them. You can't do this face to face, but we can use the technology we have today to still be present in their lives. We practice our religion. We show compassion just by being there when someone needs us. May God be with you, and I'll see you tomorrow.